part of making that progress as smooth and quick as possible is recognizing that. I have a question in the chat. So Jill says, hi, Odille and everyone. Odille, I'm starting to learn the tools. I'm now trying to build the color and object visualization into a daily exercise. Is that called the superpower state? So I'll answer that first. So the superpower in general is, a superpower state is a state of unconditional love. The beginner's exercise is the first level of the superpower state. We use the beginner's exercise, which is the color and hugging your subject. So that little brain chemistry exercise, that's the little beginner's exercise we use to develop the superpower. Everyone can find out more about the superpower in my book, You Have a Superpower, which is available on Amazon, but I'll also put a link to it in this description. And if anyone needs a free copy of it, just send me a message or an email, and I'll email you the PDF version of that book, You Have a Superpower. And that takes you through the levels. So starting with that little brain chemistry exercise and then leveling up to the state of unconditional love, which the power of unconditional love, which is physiological chemical state. Then Jill says, I find that I fall flat when trying to transport myself to the higher vibe, even when I'm in a neutral mood. When I've got a harsh mood happening, I can't reach it at all. I believe there's a way of sending love to yourself in spite of inability, etc. Could you elaborate? I'm particularly looking for a way to stick with this in the long run, despite the lackluster results so far. Many thanks in advance. So thank you very much, Jill, for this question. So a couple of things. First of all, the Superpower book will help. So send me an email or let me know your email address in a message or something, and I'll send you the PDF version of that. In brief, thinking of that process as physical exercise. So we tend to think of physical things, learning a physical skill or getting physically fit, all of that is physical. And then we think of emotions and thoughts as not physical. But the truth is that all of these things are physiological. So thoughts are connections between nerve cells in the neocortex of the brain. Emotions and feelings are changes in the body and organs caused by chemicals, and we feel those feelings, the physical feelings of that, and then the conscious mind interprets it as an emotion and then gives meaning to it and so on. So the point of saying all this is learning the superpower is the same as getting physically fit. Most of us have probably tried to get physically fit at some one point or another, and some of us succeed and others, don't, or it's in between somewhere. But certainly we know that we can't go running one day and then be fit, and even a few days, so if you run, for a week, you're still not ready for a marathon. And this is the same because you're making physical changes in your brain. It takes time. It doesn't take as long as it does to get physically fit, though. So practicing is when, like you said, you feel when you're in a harsh mood and you can't reach it at all, that's normal. So first of all, recognize and acknowledge for yourself that's absolutely normal. So what's happening there is it's like you've been running for a little bit and now you're in a position where you have to run a marathon. You're not ready for it. You don't have the stamina. Your muscles aren't built. Your muscles haven't developed enough. All of that, it's not prepared. In the same way, using that little brain chemistry exercise, when you're not triggered, when you're feeling fine, practicing it then is like doing running training when you don't have to run a marathon. So it's starting to build that. And every single time you do it, when you're not feeling negative, you're building that ability, that skill, that emotional stamina. Your brain and body are getting used to producing lower levels of stress chemicals and higher levels of feel-good chemicals, so that eventually, when you are in a harsh mood, you're able to create that change more easily and quicker. And part of that is catching the harsh mood before it gets too established. So because stress chemicals are stronger than feel-good chemicals, so adrenaline and cortisol, the effects of those are much stronger than the effects of endorphin, serotonin, oxytocin, because stress chemicals are for survival. They're designed to get and keep our attention on the danger. Once we've been feeling that for a while, it's very, very difficult to pull yourself out of it. Let's say, for example, for me, one of my experiences is seeing an email from someone and I know it's going to be a problem. And that was one of my things, that I'd see an email from a certain address and I'd feel this, this wave of, now, if I allowed that to, so in other words, you feel the emotional reaction and then the brain goes, oh, it's going to be, oh, why did I do that? And every single thought is pumping more and more stress chemicals into your system. Now, by the time I open that email, I'm already very triggered and I can't pull myself out of it. That would have been the situation. On the other hand, if I see the email, feel that emotion and stop right there and press pause and go, right, I'm not even going to think about it right now. I'm going to focus on something. So then I either do the brain chemistry exercise if I can. If not, I listen to music. I go for a walk, listening to an uplifting audiobook. I imagine hugging the little me. I watch something funny. Do whatever techniques will work in that moment to help bring those stress chemicals down. And then it's easier to get into that superpower state. And then I change my approach to the email. Part of developing that skill is learning what we call zero tolerance. And zero tolerance means nipping it in the bud, not pushing it away, but addressing it. So zero tolerance means as soon as I notice that I'm starting to feel not good in any way, I answer it. So depending on what it is, I can say, it's okay. It's just an email. It's all right. You're okay. Let's do something to change the chemistry. Or if I'm worried about, I've got to go and do some sort of event and I'm worried about it, then answering that, it's okay. Remember that the last time you did this, it's fine. And, so answering yourself the way you would a friend who was worried, and then going into the superpower state as you can, and so on. And then the final bit I want to share with you here is loving the fact that you can't feel it. Loving the fact you can't feel love. That means that when you can't do the superpower state, love the fact that you can't do it. It sounds like a contradiction, and you may not be able to feel that love, but have that intention. So again, you're taking control over your brain. You're choosing to love the fact that you can't feel the love, even though you can't. You know what I mean? It can take a little time to get used to that. And so again, it just takes practice. But hopefully that helps to get you going anyway. Understanding that it's up and down. It really is up and down. No progress, including getting physically fit or learning a skill, no progress is a straight line. It's always up and down. There's, some days you'll be better at it than other days. And part of making that progress as smooth and quick as possible is recognizing that, expecting it. So knowing that, yes, this is one of those days, I'm just going to take it easy. And it's the allowing technique. When nothing else is working, so you've tried changing your focus, you've tried doing the little brain chemistry exercise, you've tried listening to music or going for a walk or whatever. So whatever you've tried, you still can't change that feeling. Then use the allowing technique. And what the allowing technique is, taking a moment to just be very still and notice the physical feeling of what you're feeling. So let's say I'm feeling anxious. Then I'm going to notice where in my body am I feeling anxiousness, the anxiety. How do I know I'm feeling anxious? And it may be a pressure in my chest, or I may be able to feel my heart rate beating faster. If I'm feeling upset, I may feel pressure or closure in my throat. So then bring your attention to the physical feeling, because what's happening with these emotions, the stress chemicals are creating physical sensations. The conscious mind is giving reason to them and then running away with that reason. Every moment, it's pumping more and more stress chemicals into the system, and it's just creating more and more substance to that state. So bringing your focus down to your attention, down to just the physical feeling, no meanings, no thoughts, just the physical feeling. One of the things that can help with this is if you put your hand on your leg and you notice the feeling of your hand on your leg, you notice how your leg feels to your hand and how your hand feels. to your leg and just really focus. And your mind may wander. Just keep bringing it back gently to, so there's this and this. Yes, but I'll get to that later. But this hand on my leg, just keep doing that. And notice the physical feeling, and then notice the physical feeling of whatever emotion you're feeling. And in addition to that, saying to yourself, it's okay. It's okay to feel this right now. It's just a physical feeling. It's just a sensation. So you say to yourself, it's just a sensation. It's okay to feel it right now. I'm not in physical danger right now. And it's okay for this to be here. And the reason for this is that the big part of the negative emotions, the experience of negative emotions, is that we're trying to make them stop. And when we're trying to make them stop, we're judging them and we're pumping more and more stress chemicals into the system, which is just, of course, amping it all up. Bringing it down to it's just a physical sensation right now. I'm not in physical danger right now. It's okay for this sensation to be here. It's okay. So just keep talking to yourself like that. And at some point, you'll notice that the sensation changes or moves in some way. And then you can slowly get yourself to the next step, which will be listening to some music or thinking about someone you love or taking a walk, the next thing, or doing the brain chemistry exercise. So I hope that's helpful. So Jill says, yes, wonderful answer. Thank you for being so thorough. You're very welcome. Needing something to latch on to keep this for the long run. Love that last bit too. Focus on the physical and don't resist, allow. Good. I'm glad you like that. And she says, okay, I've got those 3 phases written down. If time, a question, what do you think of combining a quick workout with the brain chemistry exercise at the same time? Well, yeah, and that's an interesting question. And I would say, yep, it's worth doing. The superpower state is something that I developed that I am in most of the time. That's kind of my predominant state. When I do a workout, I'm already in that state. So I know it's possible to do because I do it. Absolutely. If you can do that, what I would say is see if you can get into do the brain chemistry exercise just before your workout and see how that goes. Absolutely. And the main thing is when you can't do it, it's also, like when you learn to ride a bicycle, try to ride and then you fall off. It doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that I fell off, so I need to get back on and keep going. And sometimes you won't want to get back on. Sometimes you're tired and you're fed up, and that's okay. Then you go, I'll try again tomorrow. And that's okay to do with this as well. All right. So the biggest thing here is being kind to yourself as well as you go. That's the way we learn the quickest and the most efficiently. All right. You're very welcome, Jill. I'm so glad that helps. And thank you very much for the question. All right, everyone. So I think that's it for this week. Oh, and I see Swasti said in the chat, thank you, Pamela, with a heart. I don't know if Pamela saw that. I mentioned it. All right. All right, everyone. We'll see you same time, same place next week. Lots of love to all of you. Bye-bye now.